Hi all, it's Rambler here with another rambly video about my time with the Portal games. Yes, I wasn't planning on doing this, but some of you have asked me for my overall opinion of the series of games, and of course, what did I think about the ending of Portal 2? So, let's start with the first bit. What did I think about the series altogether as a whole? Well, there's not a lot more I can add to what I think about it already that I haven't said in my Let's Plays of both games. But to sum it all up, I was pleasantly surprised with the games. I thought they were overall really well done. They were graphically beautiful to look at. The mechanics played very, very well with very, very few faults, if any at all, if I can remember. The portal gun mechanic was very well done. The overall layout of the game, the level design, the puzzles, again, most of them were really well done. There's only a couple I can think of where I honestly think, no, that was rubbish. That should have required a little bit more tweaking. But to be fair, I was really nitpicking those puzzles. And of course, I overcomplicated and overthought a lot of them out. So yeah, I think overall, in terms of the games and how they play, they are very, very, very good. And I do highly rate them. I wouldn't necessarily rate them as my favourite games of all time or one of my favourite sets of games of all time, but I certainly won't forget them. And I certainly enjoyed playing them, and they have left a lasting impact on me because I was very apprehensive playing these games. I didn't think it was going to go down well. I even had some people who watched my older Let's Play say to me, you shouldn't play them. I don't think they'll go down well with you. And I took that advice on board. But then there was a growing number of people who wanted me to play them. So I was like, oh, all right, then I'll take the plunge and we'll see what happens. And luckily, it turned out for the best. You know, a lot of you seem to have enjoyed the series, and I'm very glad and very grateful that you have done, which is good. I've enjoyed playing them, I've enjoyed making the videos, and I really did like the games in general. Like I said, graphically they were beautiful, mechanics worked well, the characters in the game, or at least the ones that had speaking parts anyway. GLaDOS, for example, I really did like GLaDOS. GLaDOS was a fantastic villain and a very deep character as well. Even though she appeared quite one dimensional in that, okay, she knew a lot of stuff and just ultimately wanted to test you forever until either you died or she got bored of you. There was a lot more to her. Even in the first game, there was a lot more to her. And then in the second game, it got fleshed out with the link from her to Carolyn and Cave Johnson, the creator of Aperture Science, and Carolyn being her assistant, stroke lover, stroke wife, and Carolyn being the same as GLaDOS, or GLaDOS is Caroline in a computer, her personality and what have you, but with some possible corruptions and or restrictions or whatever. I thought, yeah, it was very, very good, and I liked GLaDOS as a character. I liked Wheatley in the second game. I thought he was a fantastic counter character to GLaDOS. GLaDOS's arch nemesis or antagonist or what have you. The chemistry between them both was really well done. Steve Merchant as the voice actor of Wheatley was brilliant. I don't know or can't remember who the voice actor is for GLaDOS. It's Ellen something or Ellen or something. Either way, both voice actors did a superb job with the characters. They were very well done, and the writing of the game in terms of the story and the character dialogue again was very well written. It was very, very smooth, very funny, very witty, very clever, and it wasn't boring. None of it was really that boring. I think the only time I got bored with the Portal games was at the ending of Portal 1. I think they stretched out the bit when you've broken away from the testing chambers and you're going in between all of the facility and you're exploring the background of the facility after GLaDOS tried to kill you at the end of the testing chambers. I thought that went on for a bit too long, but the rest of the games were very nicely paced out. You know, it had lots of Portal 1 and Portal 2 being, both games had a lovely pace to them. Both of them had enough content and interest to keep you going. Lots and lots and lots of subtle Easter eggs and subtle background stuff that you can find out to flesh out the game and flesh out the universe. Again, without jeopardizing the plot. I think Valve are very good at that. Valve are very good at giving you a simple plot to follow, but if you want to flesh it out, you can do if you're sharp and you notice things. You can flesh it out, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're missing out of the main plot as you're playing the game. The only time again that I think that they did do that was with Half-Life 2, but we've been there and done that. I still think Half-Life 2's plot was a little bit too cryptic. But yeah, I think overall the games are fantastic. So there's not really a lot more for me to say on that. They're very, very good, and I highly recommend them. And if people haven't, if I ever meet people who haven't played them yet, who are a bit dubious, I would tell them to play it and enjoy it. So that's good. Now the ending to Portal 2. Now I originally just took its face value. I thought, oh, we're gonna die. There's no way GLaDOS is gonna let us out. And then it almost looked like it was gonna happen, and then it didn't. And then we ended up in a wheat field, confused but happy, I guess. And then they chucked out the companion cube at the end as a bit of a, I don't know, just a laugh really at the end, and that's that. That was the end, and I honestly thought that was that, but no, 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 no. Some of you, and indeed the internet especially, have said no, it's not as simple as that. No, no, it's much more complex than that. Blah blah blah. And I was like, oh really? Oh god, I can't think anymore. My brain's already burnt out from work and burnt out from playing these games. What more do I need to think about now? And apparently, there is a theory that at the end of the game, though it appears that GLaDOS does let you go, and therefore Chell lives, there's a theory that actually, no, you didn't live. You actually died. The moment that you're in the lift and then you stop for the first time and the doors open up and there's 4 turrets lined up with their lasers pointing at you, and you think, well, that's me dead. And then instead they go and start the opera singing of the opera theme that you get as you're ascending upwards. Some people believe that at that point you are actually killed. You're actually shot down to death and you are killed, and then immediately after that, you're dead and you're going into the afterlife. And it's so sudden and so quick, you don't notice being shot because it's all being seen through Chell's eyes. So in that very moment, you are actually dead or you are killed, and then the rest of the ending is actually a reference to Greek mythology, where apparently when you died in ancient Greek times, or even Greek times today, I don't know. Let's just go with ancient Greek times. You ascend upwards with some lovely angelic music playing, and you ascend into a lovely endless field of wheat on a nice sunny day, and you're accompanied or you're greeted by your best friend, and then I don't know, you spend the rest of your afterlife trolling about in the wheat field with your best friend. Okay, fair enough. Sounds quite deep and philosophical, but also quite weird. And really, a wheat field? That was your idea of an angelic heaven? Apparently, wheat was very important to the Greeks because it stops the whole having to go and hunt out for food all of the time. It was quite a revolution in food, and it started to bring about farming and cultivation, or at least make it more mainstream. And it was seen as something quite, oh, this is actually quite a major thing. So they highly regarded wheat. Hence, the wheat field at the end of your ascension is quite a symbol. It's a symbol of ultimate peace or whatever. I don't know, but anyway, something like that. I'm not trying to insult people who know ancient Greek mythology. I just haven't got into it too deeply because I just don't have the time or patience or energy at this point in time to have a look into it too deeply. All I know is the wheat field is important when you go up into the equivalent of heaven or whatever, or afterlife. So the whole sequence at the end when you're rising up through the elevator and the turrets are playing the angelic music is a symbol of Chell's death, and she's basically just ascending upwards and going into the eternal wheat field at the end. Now, why have people made that connection? It's like, okay, well, okay, you could say that whole sequence is a reference to Greek mythology, but did the whole game make any reference to Greek mythology, or was this just this one-off bit at the end? If so, okay, good point, but damn, that's obscure. Where'd you get that from? Well, apparently during the main game, as you're playing it, and this is Portal 2, by the way, there is other references to Greek mythology. The main one being the lonesome turret that you pick up from the conveyor belt in Chapter 5. Apparently, he or she or it is dubbed as the Oracle turret, and he or she makes a reference to Prometheus, the god, the Titan, I believe, in Greek mythology. It wasn't a god; he was a Titan, and he was punished by the gods and cast into the bowels of the earth because he brought knowledge to man. And when he was cast into the bowels of the earth, he was pecked by birds. I don't know for how long or why birds in particular. I can think of much more gruesome ways to be pecked by, but whatever. That was the case. And That reference was a reference directly to GLaDOS, because GLaDOS gets taken down from her ultimate computer being in the Aperture facility by Chell and Wheatley. She then gets put into a potato. The potato's falling along with Chell. I can't remember which chapter it is, but you're falling down below into the bowels of the Aperture facility, going right down to where it all started, the older stuff. And she's falling as a potato, and then she gets captured by a bird. And then when you find her later, when you're going through the old Aperture facility, you find her in a nest being pecked at by a bird. And you're like, oh, I see. So what you're trying to say is that GLaDOS is like Prometheus, in that GLaDOS brought knowledge to man and then was cast into the bowels of the earth and pecked by birds. Quite literally as well. So not only was it a subtle metaphor, it was a literal metaphor. It was like word for word, that's what it was. The only bit out of that I don't get is Prometheus gave knowledge to man. So my only question to that is, who did GLaDOS give knowledge to? Yes, she was a super powerful AI computer when she was made, and it turns out that Caroline, the lover, assistant, stroke wife of Cave Johnson, who was the founder of Aperture Science, it was her personality who was put into the computer. So GLaDOS is Caroline. And did she bring knowledge to man? Because as far as I'm aware from the Lab Rat comics, as soon as she was brought online, and even the times where she was being brought online to test her, she wanted to kill everyone. So that doesn't mean that she's passing on knowledge to man. That also implies that she's actually punishing man for passing on knowledge to someone else. I don't know. So I don't know. Maybe she did pass knowledge on to someone. It could be that GLaDOS is passing knowledge on to Chell to help her out or something. I don't know. But I get the Prometheus reference, but I'm not sure. If you're going to take it that literally, who did GLaDOS pass knowledge on to? Because you've made everything else literal in the reference. So who did she pass it? It's probably staring me right in the face and I can't remember it. But I don't remember any reference to GLaDOS passing on knowledge to man because she killed them all with neurotoxin. I don't know. Although there was actually, no, thinking about it, there was in the Lab Rat comics, I think she did actually pass on some knowledge to man before she killed him with neurotoxin. No, there probably was a point actually where she was passing on knowledge to the scientist. Thinking about it, actually, yeah, no, there probably was actually, yeah, no, no. Just let me know in the comments on that one. I'm not 100% clear on it. I'm just thinking about it. There's a vague memory of it being mentioned in the Lab Rat comics, perhaps in the Lab Rat comic, I should say. Perhaps it's in there. Anyway, I'm just nitpicking. So there's that. So yes, I can agree with that. The Prometheus reference that the Oracle turret made to Chell was directed to GLaDOS, and also he or she or it mentioned that Carolyn is the name of GLaDOS, very subtly, mind you, but mentioned it, and that's confirmed as you progress through the game. So there's a bit of Greek mythology there. The other Greek mythology that is mentioned in the game, and I don't know this off the top of my head, I've written some very scruffy notes, and I can't actually read it, because as you can see, I'm well prepared for this, is that in one of the test chambers, in the old Aperture facility, I think it was test chamber number 9, there's actually a name imprinted on the test chamber itself that you can see from outside the test chamber as you're ascending to it. I believe it's called Tartarus, and that's a reference to the other titans that were punished by the Greek gods. They were cast into Tartarus. Prometheus wasn't. Prometheus was cast into Caucasus. I don't know how to pronounce that. But the other titans were cast into Tartarus, and there's the name Tartarus on the test chamber 9 in the old Aperture facility. So again, another link of Greek mythology there. I don't think there's any more after that. Oh, I think the only other thing is the actual opera song sung at the end. I can't remember who gave me the video off the top of my head, but somebody gave me a video link to a actual lyric translation of the opera song. And the song goes, "Dear beautiful, my beautiful darling, my child in the estimation of the estimation." I have no idea what that means. In the estimation of the estimation. So you estimated, you were estimating and estimating. Oh, I don't know. But either way, cryptic, but whatever. To my dear, farewell, my dear child. Why do not you walk far away from science? Well, probably because you kept us in a test facility for thousands and thousands of years, and then when we were let out, you only made us do tests. Wasn't exactly science, really, to be fair. I mean, yes, okay, we were experimenting and solving puzzles, and you sort of do that in science in a metaphorical way, I suppose. But yes, after a while, you would want to walk far away, especially if the person who's making you do the test is trying to kill you as well. So, easy answer to that one. My dear child, my lovely, my dear, to my little girl, a dear to me. There is a theory or a link or evidence to suggest that Chell is the daughter of Carolyn, but nobody knows who the father is. It's most likely Cave, I'd imagine. Um, but it doesn't matter. The point being is there is a connection to that, and also in the song at the end when you are gone. So when you finish the game and you've ascended up into the wheat field and the companion cube is let out, and then it goes to the credits. In the song, there's a reference, a subtle reference to a link between Chell and GLaDOS in that, or Chell and Carolyn, I should say, in that Chell is possibly the daughter of Carolyn. I don't know if that's Greek at all. It's just the angelic music is sung in a different language. I don't know if it's Greek or Italian. Probably Italian, I'd imagine. But there you go. So there's a lot of references to say that um, that Chell is not only the daughter of Carolyn, but also Chell is possibly dead as well, because the music translated at the end is, yeah, does sound a bit sort of like you would sing something like that at a funeral or something like that, you know. So yeah, there's a lot of evidence to point that out, and it's very interesting because you kind of think, oh, maybe we didn't survive at the end. Maybe that's it. Maybe there's that. The only thing to add to that as well, actually, is with the Greek mythology, yes, the best friend thing I mentioned. So you ascend into the wheat field, you hear the angelic music. Who was your best friend that greeted us at the end of the game? Well, that was the companion cube, apparently, hence why the companion cube was thrown out at the end. Although, again, nitpick, you're greeted by your best friend in the wheat field. But we weren't greeted by our best friend at the wheat field. We technically greeted the companion cube. Just throwing that out there, because if we were to be greeted by the companion cube, our best friend, the companion cube would already be there. But it wasn't. It was thrown out at the end. So we technically greeted the companion cube. Also, the companion cube is our best friend. Don't think Chell really, in her personality and what have you, although she was mute for the entire game, would have bonded with a companion cube as a friend. We know Doug Ratman did, but he was also schizophrenic. He gave the companion cube a personality. So although you could technically argue that, oh, well, Doug and the companion cube were best friends in a way, yeah, but Doug created the personality of the companion cube. He was insane. So yeah, again, I can see the connection, but I have to be honest, I'm kind of sided with the fact that we did make it out alive, simply because the only way that the Greek metaphor thing works is if you take it at face value. And in a way, you can argue you can do that because, of course, the absolute face value of Prometheus and GLaDOS taken in the game, you know, Valve have pretty much done a direct comparison. So, yeah, you could argue that. But I don't think so, that she died, because, again, you're taking a metaphor as face value. I think Valve are cleverer than that. I just think it was a nice parallel tie-in, really, and just sort of, I think the cleverness behind the metaphor of the Greek mythology was really just a question of, you know, is Greek mythology real or not? You know, they've done it to make you think about it, but I also think it's deliberately ambiguous. It's whatever you want to make it out to be. So if people think, no, Child did die, I believe in the Greek mythology references face value, you're as more right as me turning around saying, no, I don't think she died. I think she survived, and it's just a clever metaphor reference, just something extra that you can pick out in the game and make you think about it, because that's what Valve do. Very good at putting background stuff, clever, sharp stuff in the background. Again, I applaud that, but without knackering the main plot, except for Half-Life 2. Stupid Valve for Half-Life 2. I'll never forgive you for that. Anyway, but my only evidence, really, that no one seems to have spotted yet, I think maybe one person did actually on the channel somewhere, the only evidence to suggest that no, she is alive, or another extreme, which I've just thought of, but the only evidence that I can think of that she is alive is because when you're in the test chamber 16, when you've right at the very beginning of the game, you're captured by GLaDOS, and you and Wheatley are separated, and you have to go through the test chambers again, and Wheatley's trying to find a way to get you out. When you get to test chamber 16, there is that vent with a turret in it that you can take out with the refraction cube, and you can, you know, direct the laser light to blow up the turret and blow up the vent, and you can get access to it. In that secret area, which is also a Ratman den, there are the turrets down below. You can see through the vent floor, practicing playing music at the end. The same way that they play the music at the very end of the game. They're actually practicing with their side fins or whatever, making noises, making the sound effects. Whether they're practicing the main opera song at the end, I highly doubt it. I think they're just doing it. Maybe they're just practicing the overall thing. Maybe they just discovered they could do it. It's left very ambiguous, but they are practicing playing music at the end, which implies they know how to do it. So the music at the end, although it seems a bit out of it when you first get there, you think, "Oh my god, the turrets are doing that. That's a bit odd. Are we dead?" No, they were practicing playing it before, which implies that they can do it anyway. So I think with that piece of evidence, that I don't think that Chell is dead. I just think that the whole Greek mythology thing is just a clever reference, like a parallel story, but not directly taken face value. So I think, yeah, it was all planned, and I think GLaDOS, although wanted to kill us, I also think at the end, with the main song at the end, she makes out that she'd rather you'd live out your sad little life and die, because that's probably easier for GLaDOS. Well, it is easier for GLaDOS. She makes it out as that, but also it would satisfy GLaDOS in a way, because she knows that she's going to outlive Chell anyway and carry on doing what she's always wanted to do. GLaDOS has pretty much won anyway, but rather than just kill you outright because it's so difficult, because she outlines that actually the times I've tried to kill you, you killed me, and then I got turned into a potato and all that. Yeah, she's probably thinking, yeah, even I, a smart, super smart computer, have just had enough. Just go and piss off, you know. Um, and yeah, I think honestly she's let you live. But in the song, it hints at that she knows you're going to have a sad little pathetic life. So the fact that she's purposely sent you up into a wheat field where there's very little for you to do, yeah, she knows she's won. So I think that's that. And some of you have mentioned, oh well, at the end of the theory video that Game Boy 8 gave me to summarize all this, you know, the guy at the end said, "Oh, maybe a Portal 3." I don't think there's going to be a Portal 3. I think it's all perfectly summed up with Portal 1 and Portal 2. I think Valve will definitely move on to, well, they're doing their Steam boxes at the moment. Hopefully they do a Half-Life 3 or Half-Life 2 Episode 3. I mean, come on, guys, what is the problem? Just finish it. I don't care if there's any technical coding problems or we want to make it a masterpiece. It tells me, just like it did with Half-Life 2, that you've botched the story up and you can't think of a convincing way to finish it. Much like Mass Effect 1 and 2 had the same problem when they did Mass Effect 3. Yes, the game itself was good, but the ending... you know, maybe not. Maybe they are really just taking their time with it and just... I do know that they had a massive difficult time with developing Half-Life 2. Perhaps they just don't want to go through that again. I can understand that. You know, not only was it expensive, but people hacked it, and they had all kinds of problems developing that game. Perhaps they just thought, no, we're done. After we've done episodes, you know what, we're done. Let's just move on to something else. I don't blame them. Plus, they don't have a proper structure in terms of a corporate structure. They just do whatever they want, really. But there you go. But yeah, that's my sort of summary video on Portal. Again, I think it was very, very good. I really enjoyed it. I more enjoyed making a Let's Play out of it, if I have to be brutally honest, because of you guys enjoying it as well. I had a really fun time with it. I think if I played the games by myself, I would have still enjoyed it, but probably not to the extent that I enjoyed it making a Let's Play video for you guys. Because it's nice to share ideas. It's nice to have things pointed out. It's nice to have things debated about, and not only that, it's nice to provide something that people are enjoying as well and can get involved with. I just preferred that, really. So yeah, like I said, good games, brilliantly coded, great graphics, great story, great universe. Oh yeah, and it's tied into the universe of Half-Life 2 as well, in terms of Portal 2, because of the Borealis reference. That's clever. And that is pretty clever. And yeah, the characters were great, gameplay was great, the puzzle solving was great. It was good overall, so I enjoyed it. So there you go. Oh, one thing I forgot, the other extreme that I mentioned earlier, and I forgot to talk about it, with the regards to the turrets practicing music. Maybe Chell has been dead this whole time. Because, you know, yeah, he's practicing music at the end, but then, yeah, maybe Chell's dead the whole time. And all this is just a big Greek mythology thing in her afterlife. She just has to do this because it's fun for her or something. I don't know. That's probably a very extreme option. I've got no real evidence to back that up, so just ignore that. But yeah, there you go. But yeah, right, well, I've better crack on with doing Half-Life Opposing Force and then crack on with making this video about what we're going to do next for the channel. But again, can I just take the opportunity to say thank you so much for joining me for this, and thank you so much for all of you who left comments saying you've enjoyed it. You know, some of you have said it's my best Let's Play to date. I agree with you. I believe it is, because it was just so successful. I enjoy playing it. I think, or believed at the time, I performed at my best. I didn't deteriorate so much like I did with Half-Life 2. And Half-Life 1 as well, I should say. So yeah, definitely today I'm very pleased with it. So I hope I can leave it on the channel for as long as possible without getting struck down with copyright reasons or whatever. But yes, I'm very pleased that I'm able to produce at least one good Let's Play that people have enjoyed. So yay! But yeah, thank you so much, guys. So yeah, take it easy. Have a good one, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I hope to see you in the next video. Have a good one.